Son of a bitch.
I'm cracking up because round 2, you waited like a second in the countdown. You're like, fuck this, I'm done.
I've already been through it once. I don't know if that's a person thing or like I know that can be an ADHD thing where it's like waiting for things. Like
no, that's just a thing.
Yeah. I know it's a thing when I'm like trying to fill up my cup of water. I'm like, this is taking forever. But that countdown, like 2 seconds feels like an hour. So, but sometimes I like to just let the audience, all one of them, to be in suspense. Is he going to go all the way to the 30? Is he going to stop at the 20? Is it like maybe one day should have like a contest and it's like guess the number Eric stops on.
That's totally yeah.
Get like a t-shirt.
My dad in high school was always a bit of a scam artist, and so for a fundraiser, the afternoon announcements would come on always in the same like minute. Do you know what I mean? Like so. In the 2 minute and 55 or like the 2:55 minute, but they would sell because you'd have the sweep hand, they would sell raffle tickets on when it would actually like click for the second. So they'd have 60 and maybe there was like other, like it was like they would sell it by the second, so maybe it wasn't always in the same minute. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. But he said they made like, and this is in the 50s, maybe. When did he go to? Yeah, like the 50s when he was in high school. 42. So $60,000. They made like a ridiculous amount of money his senior year, to the point where they had too much to like they had to figure out. I mean, he was basically telling the story like they had to figure out how to launder the money because the high school was like, we're not paying taxes on this, like something, and so they figured out how to like donate it to a local business, and then that local business like returned it to them in like some other way or something. And it was like the beginnings of my dad's not a criminal, but like the beginnings of his criminal enterprises.
Wondering.
All criminals are ones that haven't been caught.
Yeah, exactly.
No criminals.
They only catch my uncle, his older brother, was a Philly detective forever, and he looked at me and he goes, "Jack, we don't catch the smart ones."
Yeah. Most of them these post themselves on Facebook. Look what I did.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh, God. We call that spontaneous confession.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, hey, there's always an argument. Do you say Happy Memorial Day? Like, it's one of those like Happy Memorial Day, but it seems kind of like not the appropriate greeting for Memorial Day. But then, how else do you acknowledge it to someone other than "Hey Jack, Memorial Day"?
Family on this day.
You what?
You just say bless you and your family on this day.
Bless you and your family on this day.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't sneeze.
Yeah. It's not the only time to say bless you. People can afford it, you can expend something.
Oh, perfect. Well, it's Monday, so happy Monday at all. Thank you, Colin and Ariel. So you're fresh off your level 1. It's 8:00 in the morning. Are the kids awake? Are the kids up?
Not yet. That's why we're outside.
Nice.
Well, Ellie did wake up, but I tried to get her back down. She might, or I was going to work. Nice that I'm not.
I think we have 2 or 3. Yeah, Axel and Everett are up. Fee was up early but went back down. Yeah. So, what about you, Jack? Are yours all up?
The twins are in Eaglesmere, Pennsylvania, at the Copples Lake House. They've been there since Friday, and I don't think I've seen Andrew in like 4 days. I'm just kidding. We went rock climbing yesterday, but no, he's not awake. He's not awake yet.
My tracker says he is moving, so he is alive.
Oh yeah, you track Andrew, you and
I'm saying,
Nicole.
if I were you, that's me. That was me being in your body.
Gotcha. Yeah. He does exist. I've seen movement. No, he's fine. Yeah, Andrew's the only one. Home this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see the twins at some point later today. I think they come home.
Yeah.
But we're doing like a cookout, not really cooking out thing at the Bowers later this afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah.
These two are coming over for we decided we're gonna do nachos. We're gonna make pork nachos.
Like everybody bring and make their own sort of nachos.
No, we're gonna make them. They're just gonna eat them.
I like that part.
Yeah, just show up and eat food. It's nice because Colin and Ariel live right up. They live in the neighborhood, like right next to me.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, really close, and they have kids right around the age that play with my kids, and so we actually get to like hang out and like chit chat, and the kids just entertain themselves. Plus, we have that. Yeah, it works out nicely.
And you have a gigantic water thing.
Yes,
that we do.
So have you tested it yet? Have you gone on it, Eric?
No, I exceed the weight limit. It's like a 200-pound weight limit.
That's just for like it's like in the bell curve, right? Like I mean, you gotta like push.
They probably undershoot it. Probably has like a 400-pound weight limit, but they're like, but just to be safe.
It's a safety thing. It's like right, like an OSHA thing. They can't say like go for it, man, and then like you jump on it and you break your neck and then you can sue them. They say, hey, well,
frowned upon.
Yeah, and I haven't weighed 200 pounds since like my 9th birthday, so it's I had 2 pieces of cake that day.
I think when you guys like in 2 or 3 more seasons, when it is just about run its course and you're ready to get rid of it, you should totally like who are those YouTubers that used to do all the stupid stuff? Like no, it's sort of like that, but it's like Good Dudes or something, or like
Dude Perfect.
Yes, Dude Perfect. You should totally like set it up, jump off of like your second story roof or something onto it and see, right? Like something, see if it will it'll hold up. And yeah.
I don't know if the reward is worth that risk.
Viral, baby. Viral video.
That is true.
You can't pay for advertising like that.
That's actually a good point. I'm sure it goes viral. The monetary like return on that will probably pay for any sort of hospital bills.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Yeah, easy.
100%.
Yeah. So
75%.
That could be fun. It is out there. The thing's it's so big. It comes it comes with a bag to like put it in. It's a joke. It's like it might as well be like a reusable like grocery bag to put this like giant thing in. It's like there's no way you'll never. It's that thing like when you unpack, like you'll never be able to fold it up and put it back in the box that it came in. Like it's never.
So I will say this is totally right. So I will say I have made 2 camping purchases in the last 24 months. So one of them was like a car tent. So it's like a tent. It's basically just a tent with like one side of it is this like huge like bungee-ish thing that you can then attach to the back of a vehicle, SUV, van, or whatever. So the van's perfect because the van, right, the back hatch goes up, set up the tent, you slide it over, you like Velcro this thing around, and then basically the back of the van, especially if the seats are down, becomes another bed, becomes like a room. And so put the air mattress down, and then the tent itself has like this like main area and then like a little porch area. It's awesome. Set it up, same exact thing, Eric. I'm thinking like, oh my God, how the fuck is this thing going to go back into the bag? It goes in the bag perfectly. Like, it's so much room for error. Like it folds, didn't even fold it up, and I'm a pretty good folder. Like doesn't even fold up that well.
You are a good folder.
Yeah, and it like goes in. I was like, God dang, this thing. And I've set it up probably a half a dozen times. Used it a couple, always goes in perfectly. Even so much room that I have an extra tarp that I put in there with it.
Ooh.
Flash forward about a couple months ago, we're getting ready to. The twins and I went and did like a primitive camp out fishing trip up off the Savage River, got us these like hammock tent things. So we weren't sleeping on the ground. Such a good choice. So much better, just a little cold. Same thing. These things, like you take them out, you're kind of looking at the bag, you're like, I don't know. Use the bag as the pillow because there's stuff like all your extra stuff in there. You actually have pillows. Like, oh, this is pretty good. Go to fold everything up, fit it in, piece of cake. So much room that I'm able to actually put the air mattress, the little mini air mattress that we bought, in it as well. So I was like, holy shit, I'm running on a high of like 2 recent purchases that are the exact opposite of that scenario, which though is totally a legit thing too. You buy something. So that's one of my new like requirements of like leaving a good review of when you buy it. Does it refold up and go back into the bag that it came? Because if it doesn't, then what the fuck am I buying this thing for? Especially if it's like a pack out, like you're going to use it again. You know what I mean? Like that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a good, yeah. I wonder with this thing, if I take like if I like vacuum suck it out to get all the air out, like would that make a difference?
You haven't?
Oh no.
Oh, wait. Oh, you're so funny, Eric. Yeah, any of those sorts of things like float, tow behind floats, that kind of stuff. You totally need whatever device you use to inflate it. You need to deflate it with that device before you roll it up.
This doesn't though. The device it comes with does not suck it out. It only blows.
You sure it doesn't have it? It's got to have an outtake and an intake. How is it sucking air in?
I don't know if it'll be able to hook up onto the side because it's like it's got like a nozzle that you connect it to. It pulls air in from the side and blows through a nozzle because it's like a huge centrifugal filter. Well, yeah. So it just throws air in. I don't know if there's a way to attach to the outside of it, but I would say just a regular household vacuum.
Yeah, regular.
Just take the green tube that you connect it to and just clasp it with your hand and put it on it. Mm-hmm. Fold it up a couple times. Suck it till it sucks itself flat, and then fold it a couple more times and do the same thing and keep going towards that little tube, and then you just keep airing it out, and then that thing will collapse itself and pull in itself. So
that's a man who knows right there.
He knows. I have a handheld Dyson that doesn't use suction, so that should get the job done nicely. I think that was the ad, doesn't use suction. I think that was the ad for all those years. Jim Dyson, I think his name was. Anyway. So I'll tell you what, yeah, Colin, we'll mess with that when you come over today.
He's going to put you to work.
Oh, man. Cool. Well, more interesting things. Yeah, Colin, Ariel. So you took this is the second time you've both taken the level 1.
Yep.
Dive into that. You took it how many years ago? 5+ years ago. We know at least 5+ years ago.
Back in 2017, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What was... Same, different?
Good question.
What do you remember?
I don't know. For me, it was better this time around. But I'm a little bit more engaged in like wanting to actually, be a trainer. I think last time I just took this, I just wanted to be with her. And like,
you paid more attention this time around.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like poking and prodding me when they're doing the lectures.
Right.
Knock it off.
Did they separate you two? Were you guys in the same breakout groups, or were you?
Oh no, we
No.
got separated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they saw that. They're like, oh yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
They knew better, apparently.
Not their first rodeo with spouses.
They're like, not everyone knows that you guys are together, so like the handsy stuff is creeping some of the other people out.
Our first like group that they put us in, like the 3 guys, because I was supposed to just be one other partner. I ended up getting a third partner, so we had just an odd number, and it ended up being the only 3 of us in the entire room that were all military. I'm like, how'd they know to just put stuff together like us 3, like the single us military guy? So, but it was funny because it was an Army guy and then a Navy guy, and then obviously I'm Coast Guard, so it was kind of like, huh. So it's good to see other military services there.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
And is it all military? Like I know there's I think CrossFit helps out military. Do they give you credit for it? Do they fund it or something like that? Or is there a discount for it if you're military?
Got on the course, some like a couple $100 off, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Army can get it for free though.
I think Army was free, yeah.
Yeah, they just go through they just did that about 3 months ago. If you've got, so they can, They can either do it beforehand and get like a voucher, and then just the Army education pays for it, or they can get reimbursed afterwards. But that's that's only since like January, February they instituted that program. The other services have not yet caught up.
No, we have the Coast Guard Cool is what it's called, and it's a program which they'll pay for certain things. But they're really picky. And I looked at the form and like the process, and it's like to apply, you have to do it 14 days out before you even sign up for the class. And once you got to prove that you signed up, and then you got to prove that you took the class. And then I was like, man, it's more hassle just to try and fill out the forms and follow the guide, make sure I'm inside the steps. Yeah. And I was still dealing with CCTI back then, and like the dinner, and I was just like, I did not have the time to fill out forms and get it all going, get the whole course paid off. So I was just like, whatever. So.
Who's the seminar staff?
We had Jaron, Maggie, and Owen. Don't ask last names. They didn't tell us.
Nah.
All their hashtag.
You had in your
no Fern.
Yeah, it was awesome, and they were all great, which is cool.
I think Fern tends to do stuff more like down south. I know, like, obviously, and I know they have some at like they do seminars all the time. But does he do? I feel like he does more level 2s. He may still he does. He still does L1s. I don't remember, but I think he does more stuff down south. I don't think he comes past Virginia. I don't think he comes any further north in Virginia. Yeah, who'd you have? You had Owen Clark.
Mm-hmm. Maggie
Tinker.
Yeah.
And she's the best.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
She's been there forever.
I don't know Jaren's last name. I was able to figure out their last names with Instagram because they gave us names, but I don't know. I don't know Jaren's last name. But
do you remember who was at your L1 the first time you took it?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Miranda. The cop, big guy, bald. I can't think of his name now. And then the even bigger guy, not Savan Matosin, but so it's still a Savan, Stefan Roche.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Savan was actually just talking about him recently too.
Yeah, well, he this last games, he did a handful of interviews with folks. And then the guy who owned CrossFit Oahu was on staff.
Oh, nice.
So he was there. He was the fourth. Nice. Yeah, it was old school, man. It was that was in 11. It was 2011. It's the first one.
I remember I remember Matt and Cherry Chan I had at mine.
That's a good one.
Which I realized like the fact they're out here because they usually do like West Coast. And so
that was when they had no house. They were in their trailer. Their what's the silver ones, like old school silver?
The Airstreams.
Airstream, yeah.
Yeah. Matt and Cherry Chan. And then I also remember when I took my CrossFit Kids, John Brown, who former head judge John Brown, who like it's funny, like I didn't really know him that well outside, and then I took the CrossFit Kids cert, and he was so awesome, like funny and like charming, and like obviously like when it comes to the kid stuff, like it's like he's like a CrossFit Kids ninja, right? And then I think it was a little bit later that I had watched Every Second Counts. There's a quick clip of him like talking to the other judges, basically like laying on them. Like,
yeah, he's like, you're gonna fucking die,
yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
I was like, oh my god, that was my CrossFit Kids coach. It's like
big fun.
Yeah. It's basically, yeah, it was like as if Roy Kent was coaching kids. Like that's what it was like. So
moment of silence for the end of Lasso in a week or in a couple days.
Yeah. I haven't watched this most recent. Have you guys watched Ted Lasso?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. I think the common thing I hear is it's a drama disguised as a comedy.
Oh, really?
A good way of putting it. Or is a comedy disguised as a drama? No, I think it's a drama disguised as a comedy.
Drama disguised as a comedy, yeah.
Great show. But I haven't watched the most recent episode this past week, so I got to get on that. It's long though. It's now like over an hour long.
It was.
If I want to, I need to watch it at like 10 o'clock at night if I'm going to watch an hour. So anyway, level 1. So you got your level 1. So again, same different. Like what was Con? You said you were like more invested in it this time, like mentally. Yes. What'd you get different out of it? Like walking away from it. What was walking away from it? How do you feel differently about it than you did the first time?
I would say like, I've been doing CrossFit for a long time already as it is. And like, but like buying into like their actual, like the programming and then like the breakdown that they give you behind it on why they do like, the 10 different skill sets and then the metabolic pathways, like, and when when they just kind of like took it from like the books, you read the book and I'm just like, okay, most of it, you're like, all right. And then their like way of just breaking it down. Like like I said, I was just more engaged on it. And it was really just nice to like hear it explained again by somebody this is their job to like make it make sense.
Yeah.
And then like that whole thing, like where it's like, I know it's her passion completely. And, and I'm like, man, that's just, it's becoming maybe that I definitely want to just pursue into it. So I don't know. I just felt like I really did pull a lot more from the class. Now the test, no, I won't sit there. We're not gonna test. That thing was but the course itself, the instructions, the class, the breakdowns, the cues. There was even stuff that, because like I said, I've been doing CrossFit for so long, but for them to even catch stuff that I was doing just slightly and then give me a couple critiques. And it was funny too. It was like on like one of the simplest moves is the one that I got called out on, which was the dip before a push press, where I actually lean forward a little bit in my dip, or I mute my hips a little bit and I overextend. So they put me at the wall therapy, and so I did my dip and I just bounced right off the wall a little bit, and I was like, hey. Like I thought I had a perfect vertical drop before my shoot.
You're like, your wall's broken, dude.
Exactly. So no, it's like with anything else. It was a good humbling experience that you're like, and then for me it was really nice to like, they did like, I'll put your coach's goggles on, like you really just learn how to look.
Go back. What was that again?
Dude, I know I can't do it. Like the guy kept doing it. So, but he's like, you can just do this.
You gotta work on that shoulder mobility. There you go.
It's like these things are just solid. They're just might as well be.
You guys said like this. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
it's funny. I wish I thought ahead of this in the video when Ariel, you were, I think, coaching him in the push press, and then he cued you from you were going through the progressions or you were going through the points of performance, and I can tell you had like a brain fart moment. And Colin starts like thrusting his hips at you like a reminder, like to drive the hips. And and then in that moment of that video, I thought to myself, well, Colin, I can see that you're distracting her by the thrusting of your hips and trying to remind her of what the cue was. But also that's a little overextension there.
Yeah. I built bad practice.
Yeah.
Ariel, was this your first time through it?
For level 1?
Yeah, you already had your level 1, right? You were re-upping as well. That's what I thought.
Tired, and so I was taking it to like re-up it and stuff. No, and I loved, like, I was just like, give all the knowledge, because now that I've been doing it for a while, I understand it in a whole different way than when we had first done it. Because before, we're just kind of like that new person, like, okay, this is cool, I'm learning a lot, but it's like a whole new level now. And like all the coaching aspects, I loved how they break stuff down and how they pick apart other athletes. And so I was really paying attention to that kind of stuff, because that's where I need to work on more. I was like, okay, so this is what they see. This is how they fix it. Bring the group in, show it, explain it, cue it, the different types of cues and stuff to see what works for the athlete. Like that kind of stuff I was all for. And then, of course, like we had the nutrition talk too. And now I want to try the zone diet. So list of to-dos. It was just really cool. I was invested in it last time, but like way more this time around, because I know that I want to really like level up essentially and learn more and, you know, make this our life, especially once he retires, you know, eventually hopefully have our own gym and stuff. So it was just really cool to go through it again.
I heard recently on Savant's podcast about the sort of the general consensus, I think he led it or whatever, but timeline of post level 1, especially if you've been doing CrossFit for a while, if you've been coaching for a while, if you're like re-upping your level 1, he's like, and I kind of agree with him. He's like, within 3 to 6 months, you should be signed up for your level 2. Like that because for the longest time, the general consensus in the training community was 2 to 3 years, get like, a couple hundred hours of coaching under your belt, then go to your level 2, and it would resonate more.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel as if having that, I'm in agreement with him that the quicker or the sooner that you could get to your level 2 at this point, and I get it, like the financial side of it too, like that's you're dropping another $800,000.
Yeah.
But the proximity of going to the level 2 with the level 1 material having been formally presented
Mm-hmm.
does have a potency when you get to the level 2, because it's the same exact material. And they actually even call it out where they're, one of the first questions in one of the early lectures in the level 2 is, what is fitness? And so there's a lot of people that like the book knowledge is kind of atrophied. So maybe they've been coaching, they have a practicality of its application, but they kind of forget, as Colin said, there is a rigor to sort of the sort of theoretical kind of methodology behind it that then the level 2 takes it, and now you actually put it into practice in as rigorous of sort of a academic kind of structured environment. So taking that idea of there are timelines of what cues to use for which movements, there is sort of like a, kind of a form to follow in sort of how you cue an athlete, how you correct, kind of that iterative, and then sort of the teaching being at the front end. So it's, I don't know, where do you stand, or where are you guys kind of thinking, like, is the level 2 on the horizon or sort of the radar?
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to the group about it yesterday. Definitely want to go for it before we move. So I haven't looked to see like when the next few are, but
Mm-hmm.
There's one in July.
That might be a little too soon.
That's a quick turnaround. There you go. That would definitely be within 3 months.
Well, and Maggie was saying, what did she say? After 8 months to get some coaching under your belt before you take the level 2 is what she recommended.
That's like for first getting.
Yeah, that's for like a new coach. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, since you're like on a re-up and you're
coaching like 4 classes a week for the last almost a year, like 2 to 4 classes a week. Yeah. I mean, you could take your level 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I would say for you, it would be very beneficial, just because of, like they said, like what they're doing there now. Now you're reaffirming everything we've already done again, that you've already like, I want more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the more.
Yeah.
So for myself, I just got to get comfortable in the classroom setting in itself and just teaching, which isn't going to be like a hard thing for me to do. It's going to be more of just, I think, just learning the timing, which, I'll have the tools for that. Was just like set a clock, have the program already there, understand the program and understand what I'm going to do for the warm-ups, and then just controlling the classroom, which, I mean, for the military background, that's pretty much what I do all the time with a whole bunch of people. So it's like, it's just a different setting, and then I won't be able to like knife hand people.
I think there are plenty of times that Jack wanted to knife hand people.
I see a lot of and waving my hand around like a vicious knife wand.
Creepy coach.
Yeah, I won't be. So I gotta pull away from like maybe just a little bit to where, because I want to still have it like be fun, but I definitely because everybody has like their way of just teaching and coaching and mentoring. So, and I love being a mentor. That's why I love my job. I love being an EPO, which, you know, yeah, like being there for junior people. But now it's like at the gym, it's gonna be, I have like all the age groups, like all the ranges. So, and then I definitely want to do the kids course, like the teens course or whatever it is that you do CrossFit Kids.
Yeah.
I think that's like the next thing I want to do, because I mean, I've done so much youth, like volunteering, like either at like the church or just, you know, sports in general. Just love kids, especially when they're at that, you know, they want to do stuff and burn energy and be active. Hands down, I'm just, you know, I like seeing that because I know it's so beneficial for you to start in it and have people that, you know, they can look up to that want to, you know, pursue the same thing that they're hoping going. And with some of the kids, it seems like in class, they just show up and they're just kind of, so want to turn that.
Teens.
Which teens these days, you know, it's hard to get them to, unless you give them a video game.
Are you getting on? Is Colin going to be on the schedule for Fairwinds, Eric?
Yeah, that's the plan. Is start getting him interning. Now these guys level 1. Now that you've had some time freed up too. Now that you're finished all your part-time job stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get but yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, Colin, whenever you're teaching kids, if you ever need ideas for like obstacle courses and stuff, talk to that chick next to you. Because I love it's fun. That's some of the best ways to get the kids warmed up. And I can't think the last time I did an obstacle course with the teens. I forgot, like, oh, they like those and the freedom they have. And I remember, Jack, I think there was one time when we were working in the garage, we just kind of like there was one day we just laid the stuff out and let them create their own obstacle course. And I swear we just let them run with it for like 20 minutes. It was like one of the easiest classes because like the first 20 minutes was just them creating their own obstacle course.
I love that. I'm totally.
Yeah.
Well, one of the early, Nicole and I went to something with Chris Cooper up in Canada, and it was using CrossFit for education, but in the idea of like a positive behavior reinforcement techniques of like actually using the things that people and kids like to do as the reward rather than use those things as punishment, right? Somebody shows up 5 minutes late, 5 minutes to class, 5 minutes late to class. The knee jerk or the immediate knife hand response is they do burpees for every minute they're late. So basically you're punishing somebody with the very thing that you want them to like. So inherently you're not cultivating a positive reinforcement. You're reinforcing something, but you're not reinforcing what you want to. So one of the things they sort of addressed at this thing we went to is by using that technique of like you lay out a bunch of stuff. So you put the boxes out, you put the jump ropes out, you put the wall balls out, you kid comes in, maybe it's that very kid, Colin, that you were talking about. That's sort of like, you know, that the trope, oh, this is dumb, I don't want to be here. Blah, blah, blah. Like Caitlin. You can't motivate that kid by like, if you don't get your attitude straight, you're going to be running laps until you're enjoying it, right? Beatings will continue until the morale improves.
Yeah.
But you lay out a bunch of shit and then you just watch and you kind of see what the kid gravitates towards, right? They love climbing ropes. So the ropes are out and they're just on the rope and they're just swinging and they're swinging. And it's like, hey, that's awesome. Hey, let's bring it in. I'll tell you what, you guys give me 5 minutes of attention and we'll take a 1 minute rope swing and break, box jump and break, ball throw and break, right? Give me 5 minutes. And so immediately whatever they picked as the thing that was intriguing, that immediately becomes their reward. You don't have to invent it. And it's the same thing, the idea of the obstacle course, right? Like, I don't know what, you know, a 9-year-old wants to do. I know what I want to do, but if I lay it out and let them design it, now all of a sudden they've got agency, they're coactively invested, and I didn't have to invent it or do it. Win, win, win. And it becomes an immediate reward that you can utilize to kind of shape the behavior when they kind of degrade. But there's also the counter, the devil's advocate is it immediately introduces a level of chaos that you kind of have to be willing to weather, or at least what looks like initial chaos, especially if there's like parents watching or whatever. You know, parent drops the kid off, kid comes in like 4 minutes, 5 minutes after the parent follows in. And when they walk in, all they see, and they're paying, you know, $90 for this program or $150 for this program. And all they see is like 16 preteens just running around the gym. And you're just standing in the middle, kind of like, or just even like talking to somebody else or whatever. And they're like, what the fuck am I paying for? I could do this in the middle of my cul-de-sac. What that? They don't realize there is a method to the madness, and you're paying attention and you're watching and you're seeing whatever. Yeah. I will tell you, it's the same thing with adults. There's everything, Eric can vouch this, everything you learn in the kids class can be applied with some modifications of tone and style, can be applied in the adults class, right? Like just lay out a bunch of shit and to watch what the adults gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's what they're feeling that day, if like the rings are out or something's out, or
spoiler alert, it's not the Echo bike.
Yeah. But I would disagree. There are some people that they will come in, the first thing they do is they get on that thing and they go, you know, for a little bit, or like the skier or something.
Because they appreciate how potent the Echo bike is and it gets stuff done.
No, I think it's because it's socially, especially, and that's where layout of the gym is also kind of a put things together that allow for maybe socialization, right? So if like the bikes are all kind of lined up cleanly with room to like get in, you know, somebody gets on and they go 3 to 4 minutes while they're talking to their friend. They just got 3 to 4 minutes of like level 2 cardio that maybe they wouldn't have gotten beforehand. So all those little tricks of like everything is always geared towards what will make it the most enjoyable for the person, even though they don't know that they're actually having fun. But we know because you're always watching. You know, with some
they don't know that we know they know that they don't know.
There you go.
I'll tell you with the kids too, if I can, another way too, just throw on that. One thing I like about that kind of letting them have that freedom too, especially if you think of teens, they basically from the time they woke up in the morning have basically been told where to go, what to do, and have been given instruction and told follow. And like I want them to want to come here. So those first we have those first 20 minutes of them just kind of like letting loose and kind of making their own decisions. They deserve that. And they should get that. And so like that, it gives them a little bit more buy-in and they enjoy it more and then they trust you more. And that's the thing I like about it too, is just let them have say to what they do at some point in the day.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fun working with the teens. It definitely surprised me because I've always been kind of intimidated by teenagers. I don't know what it is. Now having our own makes it a little easier, of course. But I don't know. At first I was like, I don't know about this. And then the more I've gotten to know them and just like hang out with them and, you know, seeing the smiles on their faces, asking them about the day and like generally like listen, you know, how they're doing and what they're doing in their regular life. There's so many things that they are doing. It blows my mind. It's like, wait, you right after this and then another practice after that? Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I could keep up with that. Like, it's really cool getting them, and it's been. I was surprised with how much I enjoy it. So I'm glad.
I think part of it is I want them to think that I'm cool, so I hold a lot of value in their opinion. And so it's like it's nervous coaching teens because like, what if they think I'm super lame? Let me tell them this. Let me tell them this really great joke that they all immediately roll their eyes at. But they definitely, they tell that joke to their friends later.
100%. Oh yeah, that's right. I would always get double. The only way I would remember the joke is Eric would tell me at some point, but then my kids would tell me at some point the same joke, and I'd be like, I've heard that one before.
Yeah, like the joke, like, what are Michael Jackson's pronouns?
Oh,
you gotta tell them.
No,
You're welcome.
coffee. I'll be right
She
back.
told me a joke for once. It was great.
Oh, did she write it down? She has to go get it.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I'll tell you what. Actually, Colin, while you're sitting here, I'm going to put you to a test real quick. This will be fun.
All right, what's up?
I need you to tell me something. I need you to tell me if. Hang on. Where is it? Do I want to do this? Nope, that's not what I want.
Oh, that's cool. That's like Inception.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay.
They just got a little nauseous. Oh. Yeah.
Is this one I want?
And we're back.
Are we still looking? Hold on, I need to see if
Maybe if you open another tab.
yeah, I'm trying to. Well, so I want to.
Oh my God, Eric. You have so many browser tabs open.
Yes. Welcome to my life.
That's what I tell Ariel. It's like when you have a computer and you have all the tabs open, like that overloads your CPU, your computer processor, and it's like nothing. I was like, you got to close some of those out. Like they're not needed. And I told her, I was like, yeah, that's like a girl's brain. It's like every tab's open, and they'll just slide, like, and I'm like, I'm like, I just want.
Okay, I know what I'm gonna do.
Click on it to exit out, and it's got to fully close before I click on something else to open it.
Did you guys ever get like the pre-deployment brief or like the so I was actually out in Hawaii and made friends with the folks from the Fleet Family Service Center. They did a much better pre-deployment, post-deployment kind of prep and then reintegration sort of brief with our teams that would be getting ready to deploy. And this one woman came and she sort of, and I'd heard it before, but like explained sort of with both spouses there to be able to hear it, sort of as you were saying, Colin, like the difference between the wife's brain and the husband's brain, which is in itself problematic, right? It's very stereotypical, but it kind of made sense. And it was more just like a communication sort of technique that everybody understands things, listens to things, hears things, wants to receive information differently. And so just appreciate the differences, but also recognize that people kind of fall into two different camps. There's spaghetti brain and then egg carton brain.
Yep.
And you've heard that before, like that spaghetti brain being everything's tangential and connected. And so when I ask you, what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? And next thing you know, like you're talking about this train that you were on, and then that reminded you of your dog when you grew up, and then that reminded you that you needed to feed this, and then that's why you asked, where are your socks for the laundry this week? You're like, what? How did you get there? And then the egg carton brain, what are you thinking about? And I'm in the nothing carton. I'm in the nothing compartment.
Yeah.
Nothing. How can you be thinking about nothing? We're on our way to my grandfather's funeral. How are you not thinking about, like, because I'm driving right now. And so I'm thinking about driving. I'm in the driving carton. That's the compartment that I'm in. So that's what I'm thinking about. And that recognition of neither of them is better or worse than the other. They are simply different. And so maybe appreciate that somebody could be thinking about multiple things at once. And then also appreciate the efficiency and the importance of only thinking about one thing at a time. And I remember when that woman briefed it, like the room, like the shared, that's us of like between 4 and 5 different spouse couples or spouse teams of like, yeah. So anyway, egg carton brain, spaghetti brain, which
I think I'll argue with spaghetti brain. If you are asked, what are you thinking about? And the answer is nothing, is because with the spaghetti brain, you're probably like,
which one do I pick?
you don't know which one to pick, or like, you wouldn't understand.
Well, so that's you wouldn't understand is kind of the right. That's the initial obstacle of I don't want to be vulnerable and explain to you because I've been burned in the past. So again, because they were really good presenters or really good facilitators of developing healthy communication between couples who say they love each other, but then you run into obstacles, is it's my responsibility if you present that initial obstacle is to ask a better question. And so my better question is, well, how did you get there? I'm curious what the path was that you took to get to that spot. And then now you're like, okay, well, fuck it. I'll explain it to you. And then on the flip side, when I say nothing, and if I'm a compartmental brain, you could say, well, where are you then? What, if you're thinking about nothing, you place it like geographically. So for one, it's about the journey. For the other, it's about like where I physically am. And when you ask that sort of entry question, it allows for sort of the reduction of the obstacle or the barrier. And now we can both sort of like enjoy the journey together or enjoy being in that space together for the moment. And so, yeah, communication, man. It's all about good communication.
Yeah. That's where it's like, I think Meg was one time asking me about, like, she was talking about like where we're doing all this planting and stuff around the yard. And she's asking me like, I think we'll put the blueberries over here and we'll put the tiger lilies over here. And that way it gets this much light. And she's totally like mapping it all out. She's like, what do you think? And I totally like zoned out. And she goes, what are you thinking about right now? I was like, I don't want to say. Because I was totally thinking about this episode of Bluey when like dad went to use the bathroom. I'm like, they're dogs, but he still uses a toilet and peed on his foot. So, like, but they're dogs.
Yeah, but like, how did you get there? How did you get there from when you were talking about planting?
It was probably, there was something like, I'm willing to bet it was something like in that moment, I'm not sure, but I bet in that moment, like Fee was probably like playing in the yard and then asked to watch if she could watch a show. And I said, maybe later. And then she started chirping, chat, like doesn't stop. And then makes me think she was talking about a TV show. She starts talking. It's a lot like Bluey, the character, who like just goes. And then that got to the point where it was like, they're dogs. And then somehow got to that, like, it's
so dogs, but yet they go to the bathroom. It's like, who's the dog from Family Guy?
Brian,
right? Yeah. Like, I love, that's one of the greatest characters of all. He's still a dog, so he still does dog things. Yeah, but he walks on hind legs. He talks like a guy, right? Like, it's phenomenal.
But he brings you a dead bird as a gift.
Right, exactly. Right. Like, they still do their instinctual like animal things, which God, that's terrifying, right? If like animals did evolve into sort of sentient beings, what kinds of odd instinctual like things, remnant artifacts they would have within them. Yeah. See now that's a fun share of how you got there, and it allows the other person along for the ride.
Yeah. So now I have, since then, I've closed multiple of the, I only have 3.
And I apologize. I didn't mean to shame you for your multiple tabs. I find it endearing because it's not my computer. So I don't know.
Well, it's funny you said it to me. I laughed. I was like, oh, I have 5 different Sugar Wad tabs open, and they're probably all programming. I open a new tab every time I'm going to go in there. I don't look for the old tab. Okay, but I have it though. So now, Ariel, you're here too. So I need you to tell me whether or not, and this is right off the heels of semifinals. Are these reps?
No. Not locking up it from what we can tell.
I'm not even looking at that.
Board.
That's an immature squad.
Yeah.
It's a bad camera angle.
Yeah.
That angle.
If we could shift to the right about 5 to 10 more degrees, you'd be able to see that midline. But her chest is completely forward.
I'm looking at something else though.
Yep.
What are you looking at, Jack?
To tell whether her squat is full depth? Is that
exactly? Yeah. So think about too, like, this is a competition. So like an immature squat it's a range of motion. So you're looking at the range of motion.
Yeah. This is also, is it on the back end? Have they already done everything else?
I'm not sure where this is. I just know that this is classic Andrew Hiller. Like he's looking for people that are getting reps and shouldn't be reps. And he's always been akin to like, not akin. He's always had his eyes on Danny Spiegel, because I think she was a lot of stuff questionable. Like her muscle ups rep last year, she wasn't locking out the top of her muscle up, and she still was able to move on. And he's big on CrossFit because he's like, they let Danny Spiegel get away with murder because she has so many followers on Instagram. So she's like good for CrossFit's exposure. So they let her get away with this. Now, at the end of the day, say, well, those are reps because that judge said so, and you don't argue with the judge.
Yeah.
You deal with it later. But
Yeah.
His whole thing is she getting depth in the squat? And I mean, these are freeze frames. You can put that anywhere, but his argument, this is as deep as she got in the squat. Now, that's a bad angle, but
yeah. But it looks like she's like almost at parallel,
Like
not breaking it.
Well, I mean, you're looking for the hip crease, right? So you can't tell. Yeah, you can't tell in relationship to her knee.
That's a good squat.
That's a better angle.
There you go.
Like, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, you got to find her. She's got such strong
like what are we
too.
calling? What's the judge calling her hip crease? I wouldn't call that her hip crease. That's not where her femur inserts into her hip. No, that's too high. You got to go down lower.
Yeah.
Yep. Lower.
Yeah, for her, it's
right there. Yep.
Right about there.
Yep. And I would say that is below her knee.
Yeah.
So that's a shit. He's doing a disservice at that point because of like a myriad of physiological uniqueness or elements of her. She's has a larger amount of just mass in and around her like hip and upper quad and stuff. And so, right, like if I'm the judge, nope, that's wrong. Like he's pointing out the wrong insertion point.
Yeah,
it's got to be. I'm pointing with my finger. You guys can't see it, but totally. Almost if I took where the 45 on the plate behind her is and came straight across, that would be the line that I would use as long as her hip goes below that's where her.
Oh, you would use like right here. So you would use
behind her. So now go directly to your right, down where your hand was, where you're down. I can see where your hand is. Keep going. Like go to her butt.
Oh, go to her butt. Okay.
And go to your right.
Oh, this. Okay.
See the 45 right there? That number 45. As long as her hip, as long as that goes below that 45, I would use an external visual. We learned this during Zoom.
Yeah.
Is that where you were going, Ariel?
No, I saw exactly where you were. I was going to use that. If you were to put the marble on her leg, does it roll down her leg?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to tell with the black, but like, in a form like this where she's moving fast, using that fixed thing right there. So
an external thing.
Where you were going, Jack.
And that's what we learned during the Zoom classes is because of the variability of camera angles and stuff. I had to watch people's you'd learn like garage doors or things in their backyard or things that offered relative fixed objects to relate the person's movement to, because otherwise it was a mess to try and figure out and cue like what they could do differently. And so him using these video angles by non-professional videographers, taking them with lower quality camera, which is not going to have a high enough frame rate to capture exactly where the person is. And he's then judging somebody's in-person physical eye against that is a disservice to what he has said he is trying to do. In my, I think now we're talking about
how much he uses that. He uses this as the
the example, but she is like 3 to 4 inches, like further than she has to be below parallel.
Yeah,
kiss the ground.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. She didn't make it.
Yeah,
it's a moot point.
This also looks like a 1-rep max snatch compared to fast overhead squats. Different too, but I think his argument too is, I bet he'll go with the argument too. Like it's either, if there's any doubt, there's no doubt. Like it has to be clear. And I still think hers is clear. Again, like you said, the camera, the quality, the what he's using his reference, isn't the best reference. But then also like, yeah, you got to know what to look for. And people are built differently. Like I said, she's so
different angle. Look at that. But he's not even acknowledging that's a different angle.
Completely different angle.
If he comes to the right, if that camera angle comes to the right, that line continues to shift down.
Yeah, look, here's the top of her thigh. If you go straight across,
we're bound showing on.
But again, where you're stopping that, she's already on her way back up. He hasn't caught the bottom of that squat. That right, like
that's right before, yeah.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff, but I get it. I get what he's trying to suggest, but like
that's way past.
Equate this to a football game or a basketball game, maybe even a basketball game where how many calls happen in a basketball game?
Yeah.
Percentage wise, how many of them are accurate calls? How many times does a foul go uncalled that influences whether a basket goes in or not? So if we're saying that you have a judge who is not calling no reps, it was a double negative, or is allowing things that should be no reps to go through, like relatively or equitably, is that the same as a ref not calling a charge on a basketball player making a drive to the hoop or whatever? So does it influence the game? Yes.
Yeah.
But do all the players playing the game know that that's going to happen and know that like there's a relative gradation of what is and will not be tolerated based on the flavor and the style of that game? I remember watching hockey. That there were certain games where the refs would let hits go by on Matt's teams. And then there were certain games where the refs purposely called things that might not needed to be called, but they called it to establish their dominance in the game to keep the kids in check. So, right, the ref is saying those are good enough, right? Like she's gonna make those squats whether I call a no rep or not.
Yeah,
just let her play.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I think he's I think it's also like it's so easy to sit back there on your computer from that too and say no, like heat of the moment, volunteer judge, like it's like she's close. You give her she's close, and we can sit there and pause it and look at it. There's a trained eye, but I think it also comes back to like this is also let's say her squats were about parallel and he's letting it go. This is also like, yeah, you have volunteer judges that like these are people that volunteered their time. They're going to give you the best effort that they got. Do you remember last year was it Katrin during the games, the semifinals last year where Katrin I think was standing all the way up in her deadlifts, like she wasn't opening her hip up all the way, but the judge was still counting them, and then everyone was like blowing up the internet on that Katrin was able to get away with that, and that judge didn't show up the next day because he was just like lambasted.
Why bother?
Yeah.
Ariel, where do you guys fall? Like, how do you handle that in a class where they're doing overhead squat? They're doing Nancy. So the WOD is Nancy. Somebody's got right. It's a guy. It's a 30 something ish dude, and he's like, I'm going RX this year. And so he throws 95 pounds on that bar, and those are his overhead squats where they're like, they could be a parallel, they might be below or whatever. And you know for a fact that fucker should be having 65 pounds on that bar. Like, do you just start no repping them? This isn't a competition, it's a class. Like, what do you do having just finished a level 1? Like, how do you manage that?
Tell them they need to bring the weight down. Eric, what do you say if there's no doubt, or how is that you
if there's
say?
any doubt, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
That's if you think it's not good enough, then it's probably not good enough. So what do you do what you need to do to fix it?
Yeah. And I think it, like, if you know the athlete and that they can normally get to depth with a lighter weight, then, knowing your athlete is helpful in that stance. So Like, hey, that's too heavy. You're not going deep enough. You need to lower the weight so you can actually properly make that rep.
I love the way you say that you've seen them do it correctly already up before that point.
Appropriate weight.
Yeah. That's a great relevance, because then you could bring that to them too and be like, hey, you were much better during the warm-up. Or I remember when we did overhead squats last week, and there was no doubt with your depth, you are 100% shorting yourself, or it's only the second round and these are already falling apart. It's only going to get harder and worse from here. This is a waste of your time. That's a great, I like that, Ariel. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's and I think at the end of the day too, I think it can be you'll have people that you'll fix it, maybe you'll fix it, and then you walk away, go and come back, and they've shortened it up again, and then you fix it, and they get there and they shorten it up again, and that's where they probably talked about. I think it's always been the feedback that I've gotten from any evaluation, whether it was like the level 2 or whether it was like with Jason Ackerman or anything, is that like be relentless, like stay on top of people, because it comes back to like, why do you do this? Like all of you guys last week, I said, write down your like whys, like why are you doing this? Why do you want to coach? And always coming back to that, a reminder, like, yeah, they may get annoyed with you, but like that's why they come here, is they came here to get coached and make sure that they move well. And sometimes, yeah, I like it. Joe, good old Joe Leonard, he's now made it a habit himself. He busts out the 45-pound plates and a ball, and anytime we squat, as long as it's not like if it's a barbell and stuff overhead, I may, depending on what the movement, I don't like having stuff around your feet, but like, but he almost, that's his thing now. He grabs the ball and he grabs the plates and knows that if he's not getting to there, then he's probably not getting low enough.
Yeah.
And you picking enough. And so that's, yeah. It's a fun challenge as a coach.
Good. Well, and it's funny, I feel like you said, people want to be coached, and we experienced that during the course. Like, when they do the breakout group and, they walk around, they make you do a ton of reps, and they're checking every single person, checking your form and critiquing as they go. And I was like, okay, what do you want to fix on me? And then sometimes they would pass by. I was like, dang it, I wanted to fix it. And then other times I got, one of the times I was like, yes, I want improvement because it was on my deadlift and I want to get better at my deadlift. I want to get higher PRs and all that. And it's like, okay, what am I doing wrong that they're seeing that I can improve to get a PR? And so it's so true that, people want to get coached. Sometimes they may be annoyed, especially if it's during the workout, but it is true. So I like it. It's good growth.
Well, that part with the workout thing, like I'm really on that. Like if I'm messing up in form just because I'm dog tired and I'm trying to push through, especially like in open, like at the open, I don't care about my form as long as I'm getting that's a rep. Like that's because it's at that point. But she's done it before, but like if she's not judging me, because you can't coach when you're judging, which is like that's the whole thing. Like I've always done the judging side, and I always got insert, and like I can't say anything. I can just be like, no rep. I see what's wrong, but I can't cue to correct. And now I'm like completely on the opposite side of it, to where it's like now I'm supposed to see the problem, correct it while they're actually continuing the work. I don't mind being annoying or being repetitive on the fact that like you're still doing it wrong. You're still doing it wrong. Like just because some people are going to give you that instant like I'm not doing things wrong. Like there's that personality type, and that's why it's like getting to know the athlete, getting to know them, like explain to us like the why you're doing it, what the improvement is, and then when they recognize their deficiency, be like, look, you're going to be able to achieve more power at a higher intensity. If you do it right, you're going to burn less energy doing it more efficiently. So let's get you back to being efficient so that way you can up your PRs so you can be more competitive, so you can see yourself up on the scoreboard. And that's where like that, it really kind of clicked for me on that point where it's like, now I want to be critiqued a lot more. I want to make sure every form that I'm doing is perfect. My technique form. Yeah.
One of the things they did at the level 2, which I really liked, is the test. It's the equivalent of like a rehearsal round or a testing round or whatever, but it was shoulder to overhead in the workout. And after everyone had warmed up and gotten to, you had to put what weight you were going to use for the workout on the bar, and then they went, and it was a little shamey, but it worked. You go around the room and you have to clean the bar up and do 3 strict presses at that weight, even though it was a push press. Might even have been a shoulder to overhead. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But you had to do 3 strict at their tempo. They would call out the tempo rate. And if you couldn't do it at their tempo, you had to strip down to, some other, they had like some sort of degradation schedule or whatever. But like, that would be a perfect example of, like you said, Colin, with the overhead, let's say it's overhead squat, right? If it's a tempo overhead squat with like, I pause you at 3/4, I pause you at half, I pause you at full depth, I pause you on the way back up, I pause you again, and you can't maintain that control, be like, yeah, there's no way you're doing 75 of those at speed after running a 400 meter, a handful of times. So that I always find like that's where rehearsal rounds aren't just like more work. They're the moment to alleviate having to have that conversation when somebody's heart rate is elevated. They don't want to hear it. They don't care. And I don't, the coach doesn't have to be the annoying, no, right? The king of no or queen of no, because it's already been established before. And that, right, makes us all have the opportunity to be nicer to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all want that. Yeah. That's fun too. I think I always come back to, I love, there's some people you tell them like, in a squat, like, more depth. And they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Oh, right. You're right. I'm sorry. I totally just made it up. I wanted to mess with you in this workout. You're fine. I love that look. Like, what?
But again, from like the spaghetti brain compartment brain, like you don't know what that feels like for them.
Yeah.
So they may think it feel and at a 1 rep or at a at speed, it might feel the same as when they're doing it at speed. Right. Yeah. So that's where it's too late. The ship sailed. And so actually what I would do when they go out on their 400 meter run is I just fucking change their plates for them. Right.
I would know.
Yeah. Colin goes back to his bar. I swore I had plates on this bar.
Yeah.
I swore this was not a PVC pipe when I left.
Just a little sticky note. I broke down your bar.
Yeah. Deal with it.
Gosh. That's fun. Well, I'm excited. Colin, to get you in because you're also going to be a morning person. Ariel was telling me the other day. She's like, Colin's like a super peppy. Like he is a bright and early morning person. Like he is peppy. I was like, good. That's what the morning classes need because you need that energy. It's hard to get them there.
Yeah, I like early mornings. Like especially like if I get a good routine going where it's like, especially when there's good work to be done. Like for me, like being an engineer, like mechanic, like there's stuff like it's like I got to show up in the morning. Like I have a project that we're either doing like an engine swap, and it's going to be like a 9-10 hour day, or we just like, hey, we're gonna get there at 5 a.m. We're gonna turn wrenches for like 3 hours. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna go get some like, lunch in an area. Then we're gonna hit back to it, clean up. And because a lot of times I have to get, there's a big project going on one boat. I still have the rest of the job facilities and everything else to do. So I still have to, the unit or, but because the only time you have to allow more time through the day to do big projects and then still manage all the rest, personnel, facilities. So sometimes those early starts, like even if I don't have those projects, I like getting up super early and just giving myself that time to really prioritize, all right, what's coming up next? What's going to be happening? I don't necessarily like to work out in the mornings. Like I can, it doesn't bother me. If I'm competing, I usually like to do 2 workouts. I'll do one in the morning, one in the afternoon to really up the cardiovascular system, build up the, but like to be able to coach the intensity and like just to be there for other people. Like I could hopefully bring that out of, so like I said, I'll probably just start knife handing people like crazy. Right?
I was gonna say I want to backtrack. I don't want to say peppy. Peppy's not the right word. You need to be sharp and you need to be on and you need to be like a step ahead of them the whole time, like that early morning, because they're dragging when they come in, but you need to be on. And if you're a morning person and on, like that's a
I would say I'm not gonna be like
right. Would you, Jack? You were the morning person for 4+ years, almost 5 years.
5 years before that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. That's for many years. Jack was you were doing the early morning. That's right. I met Jack. He was their bright and early morning coach at Old Bay.
Mm,
Yeah.
nice.
Just it was what it was. I do not see, my eyelids don't open much before 6 a.m. these days. So just a change in the schedule. Yeah. Nah, man, it's all you can get yourself to do whatever you need to do. You said it perfectly, Eric. It's what do they need? What does that class, those individuals need for you to, not to sound cliche or silly, but to make it the best hour of their day?
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's what you're there for. Be of service or be somewhere else.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. It's gonna be good. It'll be fun to have more coaches chat and.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, make sure you listen to Ariel, man. She knows what she's talking about.
She's your boss now.
Right? The veteran. You got
that shouldn't be that much different.
You got a veteran coach right next to you there. And she puts in the work too. So I hope you're able to keep up.
I told her, I was like, it'd be so great. Like, I told her, I was like, I'm just gonna take your notes.
No, you're good. Own class.
Yeah. You just get her homework. Yeah, did you do the homework?
I'm
see the homework.
Yeah.
Guy in high school that's got like the really good looking, girlfriend that's like does all my work for me.
That's right. Nicely done.
Unfortunately, that'll show up when you're on the floor if she does your homework for you. So.
What does this say?
Yeah, I know. I purposely give me like the wrong notes and go to class. Like I know that's what she'll do. Like,
I'm Ron Burgundy.
He's gonna show up coaching Fran, and it's like a deadlift day, right? Like it's a max deadlift, but Colin comes in ready to coach Fran. Ariel's like, sucker.
Yeah. Like, well, I would say like the only thing that's nice about the military experience is like, the adaptability and the flexibility on being able to do something on the spot. Because a lot of times you just got to make things happen. And it's just, especially like the SAR cases that I've done, and then just the triage of like facility problems and personnel issues. Most of my stuff now is all personnel. It's like I've ascended myself for 90% of my jobs, 10% of my people. So,
that's awesome.
So it's like
80% of it's half mental.
Yeah. So,
good job.
I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to like really just, not just showing up to the gym and just being one of the, the members that just, hey, I'm here to work out and I'm here to be coached and trained, or, I'm not going to be observing, cueing, engaging with the workout, programming, and really understanding and learning how to break it down, time management, like all of it's good because it's all the skill sets that will apply to pretty much anything and everything else you do. So, and I mean, obviously it's her super passion. So I got to buy in because like, she's my better half. And so if I can rise up to maybe a level that she has, it's a lot to, and like, I get, I love the fact that I love your gym too. So it's like, I'll be able to have all the feedback that you have as well. So it's just, we'll see how it goes. See how I do. So
I might argue she's your better 3/4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Well, cool. Let's land this plane. Gratitudes. So we always end. Colin, I know, Ariel, you were last time. So we finished off gratitude for the week or something like that. So that's how we close it out. So everyone shares a gratitude, something they're thankful for, something they're anything from a person, from a gym, from an episode of Bluey that brought you a smile.
Okay, I am grateful his mom was able to come out and hang out with the kids. We knew that safe and taken care of, so I could spend an entire weekend with him because I haven't had any time with him the last couple months. So I am grateful for here and time with him.
That's awesome.
You
stole mine. I'll go. I'm grateful for my oldest Andrew. He got into rock climbing when he went away to school, actually a little bit beforehand, but anyways, amazing. He's absolutely incredible. But we went, there's an outdoor place in Silver Springs. You just hike in, ton of rocks, ton of boulders and stuff, ton of different routes. And so we went to one, and it was something, it's way outside my comfort zone. And sometimes his coaching technique is not something that lands well with me. But but at the same time, he's 19. So, right, like anything he says can be annoying sometimes. But there was a route, it was probably like just outside of my capability, but his cues were perfect and timely and supportive and exactly what I needed to hear, because if I fell, I probably would have really hurt myself. We need better mats. And I didn't. I made it to the top, and it was awesome. And it was probably one of the first times in a long time that I have like had that feeling of like, fuck yeah, like accomplishing something that you really didn't expect to. And I got a glimmer of why he is like so into it and has like he spends a lot of time. I mean, we built a wall in the garage for him, and it was really cool. But it was like, I would not have, if I was by myself, there's no way I would have gotten past like the second or third move, and he kept me moving up the wall. And so I was really grateful, and I was happy I like expressed it to him in the moment very clearly. And I like, it was a really cool moment. And it's one of those things where after a lot of months of like tenuous sort of interactions, and right, like he's not going back to school, and what is he going to do in the future? And he annoys the crap out of me. It just eats all our food and does, it's just like, so I mean, this was like, oh, that's why this is all worth it, because you get these. So, but I was definitely great. He's a hell of a climber, and he's actually got a little bit of he's got a decent coach in there somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, good big stuff. A, man, big A.
Good old Tenacious.
Yeah,
Andrew Tenacious. Cool.
You want to go next?
You're on deck, Colin.
All right. Yeah.
There's box.
So I'm just grateful for the opportunities that I have here. Like first East Coast tour, like new experiences for the family. And it's just, and then like I said, just being a part of like your box and how you run things and how you just welcomed us. So like, it was just, it fit with the family so well. And now the opportunity for me to learn firsthand to be, a trainer. And, because I've really seen her accelerate so fast in her passion. So it's like, I'm just that to me, because I've moved her around so much, it's like to be able to feel so included and have the opportunities, right at our doorstep, and being so close as well, to like to be able to have not just a boss or a gym to go to, but a good friend, a good mentor, and just that fellowship of like-minded people doing like-minded things for the betterment of others. And that's like my passion. It's just, I like to serve and I like to help. So thank you. And that's just my gratefulness.
Thanks, man. I remember the first time we talked on the phone, I think you guys were at Target, and you're like in the checkout line, and like you're trying to talk to me, but I hear Ariel in the background, like the kids are like messing around, and you're like, it's just like chaos at the checkout line at Target. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this is gonna be a good fit. We're gonna talk about it.
Hang on a second, I gotta put you.
Yeah. You're like, I gotta go. My kids are burning the building down, and my wife's like this. So it was awesome. Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna say ditto. Yeah, all you guys. I mean, it's cool. Like, I love Jack was like my mentor coming up as a coach, and I love being able, like, now kind of coming. I don't know if it's full circle is the word I'm looking for, but now like Jack got me, like, I enjoyed CrossFit, and then Jack kind of helped me realize, like, oh, this is my passion. Like, I love this thing, and this is what I want to do. And it took me 30 plus years to actually figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And it was after just hanging out with Jack after classes. And now I love the feeling of being able to get to do that and be that for somebody else. And so it's kind of, I like the kind of the feeling of paying it forward, Yeah. Because this CrossFit thing's a cool thing, and the more people we get involved, the better. So anyway,
nerd out.
Cool. Awesome, kids. You go enjoy the rest of your days.
You guys too. Enjoy lots of processed meat and cheese and gluten and sugar.
But we'll work on that foundational block.
That's right, baby. Start zone tomorrow.
Awesome. All right. Shutting it down.
All right, y'all.